The Buffalo Bills have defeated the Baltimore Ravens 27-25 in what really was a pretty kind of offset game. It wasn't down to the wire. I know the score looks really close, but I do feel like the Bills kind of controlled the game. We'll talk more about the Bills in just a second, get kind of into the weeds with them a little bit. But what we talked about last weekend, we alluded to it, was that Lamar Jackson has a tendency to choke in the playoffs. The narrative's not going away anytime soon. He fumbled the ball twice, or no, he turned it over once, and then it was an interception the other time, right?
Interception and a fumble, yep.
So my question to you that I pose to you is, Lamar to blame for this loss totally?
He is not totally to blame, but he does shoulder a lot of the blame.
75%?
Yeah, 65. Here's the thing. Normally we record on Sunday. We're recording on Monday night. I'm actually glad we're recording Monday night because of this. Because I've heard so many people start to excuse Lamar's playoff performance and be like,
well, they do it all the time.
He wasn't really that bad. He's been worse. They didn't lose this time because of him. Ryan, I don't understand. Why are so many people trying so hard to make excuses for him? I don't get it. I really don't. And maybe it's because he was so unfairly treated at the beginning of his career, which was true. That he was unfairly treated and acted like he couldn't be a quarterback, acted like he was just an athlete. I get that. It's like they feel like they have to make up for it.
Or his mom has called around and threatened everybody.
Could be. But here's the thing. The Lamar choking in the playoff is not a fake narrative. And if anyone watched that game, like I think it was Ryan Clark tweet out, he was like, that one's not on you, you did everything you could do. It's like, the 2 turnovers are on you, buddy. Ryan,
the worst interception.
That's what I was going to say. That interception is one of the worst playoff interceptions you'll ever see. I went and watched the All 22. He just sailed it. He just absolutely sailed it to nowhere, to the corner instead of the little corner route. It was awful interception. The fumble was just as bad. Lamar was horrible in the first half. Now, I will give him credit. He did not let that deter him. He was fantastic in the second half. It wasn't a full-blown collapse. But the turnovers, when you lose by just a couple points, by 2 points, those turnovers end up being the difference in the football game. And we just have to accept that he is a great regular season quarterback. He is not the same in the playoffs. 4 of his 8 playoff games, Ryan, he has had 2 or more turnovers. That's a problem. He consistently has his worst game of the season in the playoffs. There's other people to blame, and I can get to them, but absolutely, he shoulders a large responsibility to blame. It is not all on him because he fought back, he played good in the second half, but the 2 turnovers and the way he played in the first half, it was typical Lamar playoff performance. And to anyone that is acting like he did everything he could and he didn't let the team down in any way, they're just being dishonest. Because even that 2-point play where everyone's on Mark Andrews, that wasn't a good throw. He double clutched it. Instead of just letting it rip right off the bat, he kind of hesitated and then threw it. And, Mark Andrews still should have called it. I'm not excusing it, but it wasn't even a good throw. He didn't put that ball where it needed to be. So, yeah, a lot of this loss is on him. Not all of it, and I'll talk about the other ones in a second, but absolutely.
I couldn't agree with you more. And we've talked about this, and we even said it last week that this is what everybody should be watching for, is the Lamar choke session. It did happen. Now, I'll give you, he did rebound himself a little bit in the second half, like you said. He did put on a really good performance, kept the game pretty close where the Bills couldn't let off. Something I'm proud about the Bills is they didn't let off. I'm very thrilled about that, and they made smart decisions to get points on the board, and we'll talk about that in a second, points that actually saved them the football game in the long run. But Lamar, and we talked about not really looking at the playoff picture. You're not really supposed to account for that when you're talking about the MVP performance. And to some degree, I would agree. But in this case, it's like, guys, we've got a problem here. Like, there is a big issue with Lamar in the playoffs. And it's happened to other quarterbacks before, but this one, man, it's been year in and year out, it seems.
Absolutely. And one of the comps that people are throwing, which is fair, is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was the same way. He was terrific in the regular season and kind of bad. Really, if you look at his numbers, bad in the playoffs. I think it took him like 8 or 9 years to win a Super Bowl. And even then, it's not like he was tremendous on that Super Bowl run in the playoffs, but he was great in the regular season and put them in that position, which Lamar has been great in the regular season. But to just excuse it away as if it doesn't exist or because he played a good second half, Ryan, if that interception he threw looked like a Joe Flacco interception, I mean, I couldn't fathom when that happened that a top 5 quarterback in the league would throw that in a playoff game. It was baffling. Now, with that said, I agree with you about the MVP. This is why we should wait till at least after the divisional round, if not the conference championship, to vote on MVPs, because it's going to be hilarious that Lamar is going to win his 3rd MVP instead of Josh Allen, and Josh Allen beat him in that game because they didn't make mistakes, and we'll get into Buffalo. Just to pivot a little bit, it's not all on Lamar, because I do think it was kind of a poorly coached game, and when we talk about Buffalo, I'll get into their side, but I just don't think Harbaugh coached the game well. I think he was outcoached by Sean McDermott. Derrick Henry only got like 7 or 8 touches in the first half, and I know the Bills were doing a good job shutting down the run in the first half, but you have to give him more touches. That is the whole reason you went and signed him. I've seen a lot of people say that they weren't bothered by it like they were last year. It's not as egregious as last year, but it's still a problem. They passed the ball way too often. There was one time where they had 2nd and goal, and they threw it and ended up having to settle for a field goal. The 2-point attempt, yeah, it was drawn up right, but there were multiple times where they just didn't lean on Henry enough. I thought the whole point of getting him was to lean on him. And even Justice Hill, there just weren't enough touches to the running backs. Derrick Henry got 16 carries. Justice Hill got 6. Saquon Barkley in his game got like 26. I'm going into that game wanting Henry to get 22 or more carries. So I wonder if Baltimore hits a point to where they start to question their relationship with Harbaugh. He's a very good coach. I like John Harbaugh, but this is multiple times where not just Lamar, but the Baltimore Ravens shoot themselves in the foot in the playoffs. Yes, Lamar was bad in the first half, great in the second half. Mark Andrews fumbles the ball and then drops the 2-point attempt. The defense, like they don't put it all together. And in the biggest moments, it feels like they make mistakes when other teams don't. Ultimately, that has to fall on someone. I'm not calling for someone's job, but I think it was clear watching that game that Harbaugh got outcoached.